Okay, MPC One, got some drums at 140 BPMs, 4-bar loop. Sounds like that. Let's record some bass. Here we go. Okay, good. I'm gonna name this bass. I'm gonna duplicate this sequence, and then I'm gonna record a different bass line for a chorus. So here we go. Okay, parts caster is out. Back to sequence number 1, and gonna record some guitar. Okay, we're gonna head over to sequence number 2, and we're gonna record some more. Now I'm going to go back over to sequence number 1. Perfect. All right, let's do that. Here we go. Okay, let's check out the signal chain for a second. Today, I'm using the ART voice channel. It's a preamp, it's a compressor, it's got a noise gate, it's got a de-esser, it's got an EQ, it's tube. I have it at the high voltage setting, which is the way tubes are supposed to perform in a preamp. This, I believe, is using a 12AX7 preamp. I have the EQ set post compressor, and with the bass, I did not have this low cut activated when I had the bass on. I do have it activated for the guitar, so the guitars are sounding something like this. And right now the last piece that I played on the guitar, I'm in position 2 on my parts caster, which is using Alnico 2, very low output single coil pickups. Position 2 uses the bridge and the middle pickup together, gives it that weird. And the first guitar part that I did, on that one I was using position 4, which uses the middle and the neck pickups. It gives it another cracky kind of sound, but it's a bit more full. And I had the tone knob fully engaged on both. So for the guitar setting, I have the expander / gate set to gate. There is a noise gate. The noise gate is in there. It's at a pretty low setting. Let's see. I'd say it's like -10 dB is the threshold for that gate, because I really don't want to let in any crap noise, even though I'm using the noiseless settings of the Stratocaster. This thing still does pick up quite a bit of noise. I have the compressor set pretty fast. The threshold is almost at the unity setting, which on this, I think it's 0 dB, but I'm not exactly sure because of the way that it's labeled. I have the attack at 10 milliseconds, and I have the release just above 0.3 seconds. So it's a really quick compressor kind of sound. I have the de-esser turned off, and then when we get to the EQ, I have the low frequency set to 150 hertz, and I'm taking away about 8 decibels of that frequency. I have the mid frequency set to about 500 hertz, and that I'm not subtracting or adding anything. And then I have the mid 2 set to I think 1.5K, somewhere about there, and I'm taking away like minus 6 decibels. High frequency set to 15 kilohertz, and I'm taking away, I'd say, 7 decibels of that. When I was playing the bass through it, the settings were slightly different, and the low cut wasn't activated. And then we'll go over the drums. So the drums here, these are samples from Mars MPC 60 drums, and they're really crunchy, as you can hear. I actually had to turn those drums down quite a bit to get them to play well with the guitars and everything else. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in, as I always do, and I'm going to tweak the bass and the guitar settings, and then I'll come back and let you guys hear it and then talk about it a little bit, and also talk about what my plans are for this particular jam. Okay, we're going to listen, and then I'll show you guys exactly what I did to it. So here we go. Okay, so that's a pretty fun one. So let's just start with the drums. I'm going to solo the drums, and what I did is I added a bus compressor, and these are the settings for the bus compressor. Obviously fully wet on the wet dry. Don't want to do parallel compression on the MPC One Plus. Got the attack at 67 and the release at 38. So it's a slow attack, letting all the transients get through, and then it's a fast release. So it's not really going to add any sustain. It's just going to squash it real quick. And then the threshold is at -5. So the threshold isn't really low. It's not squashing it too much. I got the compression ratio at 15, which is pretty high. And then this bus compressor has an old school setting, and I have that turned up. And I have the output to 3. So let's check out what the compressor does. So here's no compressor. Here's with it on. And then check out this old school effect. Check this out. So that's without the old school. And that's with it. So yeah, that old school effect definitely adds a crunchiness that's kind of nice. So then we go to the Air Tube drive. I got the drive up to 20%. I had to bump the headroom up to negative 9.4 dB. Saturation's at 70%, and I did not touch the output. So here it is without the tube drive. And let's cut it in. So it does kind of add a bit of saturation to it. All right, now we're going to go over to the audio tracks, and I will start with the bass because I always like to start with the bass. So solo it. Here's it with everything off. Okay, so we're going to start with the parametric EQ, and I've got, let's see, the low frequency is at 100 hertz and I boosted it 3.2 dB. The mids are at 372 hertz, so it's like low mids, and I got it boosted 1.7 dB. The high mid I set to 1.36 kilohertz and I cut out 0.87 dB. And then I have the high frequency set to 6 kilohertz, and I just took it all out, so negative 12 dB. So here it is without the parametric EQ. Now kick it in. Next is this air flavor, and I have it set to radio tube 1. Timbre depth is 43%, 7% distortion, 14% flutter, and then it's completely monofied. So here it is without and with. So it's got this cool like piece of paper over the speaker sound that I really like, kind of a retro vibe, and very interested in hearing what that's gonna sound like when I actually add this through the Tascam Porta 02 cassette, because I think they'll play nicely. So here's guitar 1, and this is it with everything off and with everything on. So let's just go through. I'll turn everything off, and then I'll go to air tube drive. I've got 11% drive. Headroom is where it comes set at negative 15 dB. Saturation at 73%. And then I had to boost it 3.8 dB. So here it is without anything. And let me engage the tube drive. Okay, next up, I got an air chorus, and this is just the initial patch. I didn't do anything to it. So here it is without. And kicking it on. And I believe I put, an amp sim. I got the smooth combo. It's a 2x12 cabinet. I set it to mono, didn't touch the drive. Soft clipping's at 27%. Top boost is at 28%. Bias is at 6%. The bias is really weird on these amp sims on here because it really just messes with the volume, it seems like. Like if you turn it all the way to the right, it just squeezes the volume down. Not exactly sure how that setting works on this. The bass is at negative 0.5 dB. The mid frequency set to 1.01 kilohertz, and that has negative 5.2 dB. And the treble is bumped up 6.3 dB. Here it is without. And now let me engage. So it's definitely doing its job there, the amp sim. So here we are with the second and final guitar. Play it with everything on. Okay, now I'm going to turn them all off, and we will start with the kill EQ. And I just killed the low end, and the low end on this is at 200 hertz. So here it is without. And now engaged. So it's just adding some space. The next thing I did is add a vintage compressor. Left the dry wet at 100, so it's not parallel compressing. Inputs at 0. attack is fast and release is fast. I got the attack at 27, release at 26. Threshold is at -21, and it's at the ratio is at 10. I believe that's a 10-to-1 compression ratio. The knee is at 15, so it's a little bit. It's still a very soft knee, and then I bumped the output up to 10. So here it is without. Let me engage the compressor now. Adds a bit more squash because I already compressed it when the guitar went into the ART voice channel, but I wanted another stage of compression here, and I like the effect that I got. Last thing is an analog sync delay. I got it at 32 as far as the dry wet, so there's more dry than there is the wet signal. And this is an 8th note delay, feedback set to 29, and I pushed the ramp all the way down to 18, so it doesn't have that pronounced ramping, warbling effect, but it has a little bit of it present in there. So let's hear it without. And I'll engage it now. So that's really nice. And then we're on sequence 2. I'll play it a few more seconds for you. Here we go. And yeah, that's everything that I did to this. And that's what I came up with. So that's that. Okay, so I'd say that was a success. And let me just go over what my idea for that is. I haven't done too much finishing of music on this channel, so this is actually a part 1, and part 2 will be me arranging this further and adding vocals. I'm not going to add the vocals through the MPC One Plus. At least I'm not thinking that I'm going to do that now. Initially, my idea was to complete the song all in the MPC One Plus. Now, I'll give you guys a chance to take part. If that's something that you're interested in seeing, if you want me to do all the arranging and the vocal recording with the MPC One Plus, I have no problem doing that and then bouncing it all out to the Tascam Model 02. But if you're more interested in seeing me dump it out in the Logic Pro 10 and then bouncing everything into the Tascam Model 02 once the song is finished, let me know. Because I'm kind of on the fence. I know there's not too much content out there where people like finish their songs completely on the MPC One Plus. So maybe that could be something fun to do. But I'll let you guys help out with the choice. All in all, I like the song. It's got, even ironically, a more 90s feel than the last song that I put up, which was where I actually used the 90s feel thing in the title. I guess that's just where my mind is at right now. But overall, I'm happy with the song. I'm also really happy with the ART voice channel. This thing, I can't really decide if I like it more than using the other preamp that I use, the Two Notes Revolt. This thing really is full featured, and it has so many different things that it brings to the table. So it's kind of hard to make a decision as far as what's better. I definitely like it more than the Tascam Model 12, just because it's an all analog and a tube preamp, EQ, compressor, gate, de-esser, expander. It's just got so much going on, and there's so much that you can do. Even though it is a single channel, I like using the Tascam Model 12 as like a pure mixer. You know, it performs well as just a mixer. It's fine for tracking bass, tracking guitars. I don't know if I've tracked any vocals with the Model 12. I don't think I've tracked vocals with the Model 12 because the preamps on my Arturia audio fuse are better than the preamps in that they're cleaner, they have more headroom, they have more gain on tap. So I prefer that, but I have recorded vocals on the ART voice channel, and I have to say those are my favorite. I have an older ART preamp that doesn't have an EQ or anything like that. Like one of the little $100 boxes that's also a 12AX7 preamp tube inside of it. And I used to love that thing. I used to really love it for recording overheads of drums and for recording guitar and bass cabinets. And it's okay for recording vocals. It really livened up the first cheap CAD microphone that I had. Now that I have the nicer microphones, now that I have the Avantone CV12 and the AKG D5, I like recording the vocals through this ART voice channel. But next up will be, yeah, some arrangement, some vocals. Still kind of torn on if I want to do the arranging right here on camera, because the only video that I've done that showed the arranging, it didn't do very well. I don't know if that's something that people are that interested in on the computer, but if I did it on the MPC One Plus, it might be interesting. I guess I'll figure it out. Thank you for watching. Hopefully before this, when this video goes up, we'll be at about 1,000 subscribers, and thank you guys in advance for that. I really do appreciate it. Gonna be releasing that song here on YouTube soon. Gonna be finishing this song in the next video, or possibly the next 2 videos. I'm not sure how long it's gonna take, but yeah, thank you guys. Peace.